in the years, conquering fears, shed many tears. I still need it. I'm here now. I'm not going away. I've got a simple, straightforward message to play. I'm up here now. I'm no sacred cow. Got a giant riff, a musical gift. I'm gonna get old, but I'll never fucking stop. Never fucking stop. I've got a declaration. Rock is my name. I've got a solemn damn declaration. I won't be bringing that chain gang. I understand now that every priceless mistake and every useless fake person who would a fool of me make. All is the journey of a well-seasoned gentleman who knows what he wants. I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I'm that guy. What is it about declaring? Stand up and show a noble bearing. I'm not so young anymore, but I still wanna rock. 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 Yeah!
Yeah. Nice. Well done, sir. That was called Declaration by the Terry Burden. Is it the Terry Burden Project right now, or are you just going by Terry Burden?
That's a song that I wrote and recorded just as Terry Burden.
Just as Terry Burden. Okay, so that was Terry Burden. And as you heard already, I have Terry Burden sitting right here right in front of me. How you doing, man?
Yeah. Thanks for having me,
dude. Thanks so
man.
much for coming. He came from Park City to be here, and he's gonna jam out some songs. And we just listened to Declaration. Tell us a little about Declaration. We're just to give you a little rundown of the show. I know we kind of talked before we started recording here, but I don't prepare, man. I just sort of talk, and so if things get awkward for a second, just give it 7 seconds, and it'll go away, and we'll keep moving. So
it's okay. Just give me a tissue, and I'll be fine.
Right on. So you are a local musician as well as a TV personality in Park City on PCTV. Tell us a little bit about how all of this started for you. Now, you said you didn't start out in Utah either. Where did you come from? How did everything start? What's the story behind Terry Burden?
Born in Clinton, Iowa. It's a farm town. It's right on the Mississippi River.
Nice.
A lot of agriculture processing. That's kind of why that town exists. They used to float timber down from Minnesota and make stuff out of logs in Clinton, Iowa 100, 200 years ago. But now it's just a place where corn and soybeans and cows and pigs get processed.
Sounds like a place that happens at.
Yeah. It's a very. I mean, I grew up on rock and roll hard. I mean, I know that country music is big in the Midwest. It's big in country areas, but kind of just the way that I came up was all about, all those British bands in the 80s, Iron Maiden and AC/DC, Van Halen for sure.
So you a metalhead?
I grew up a metal. I mean, I'm still a metalhead. I still play.
Yeah.
I still play guitar like a metalhead. It's like, oh, he's got reverb and chorus on it.
Hey, man.
There's no distortion, but but I'm still a metalhead
Well,
inside.
give yourself 3 more band members, and you can crank it up a little bit.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly.
Cool.
Well, yeah, we're kind of in transition with the Terry Burden project. I worked for quite a while with a guy named Paul Dittman, who's an amazing musician and bass player, and he was incredibly helpful to me in getting out again for the first time in a long time and playing music. And Paul's got a bunch of stuff going on. He's a wildly talented cat. He's playing with a cat by the name of William G. Kidd, who's from here in Utah, who's an amazing singer and guitar player. And he's doing a record. So, so the first version of the Terry Burden project is a little bit on hold right now while I figure out the personnel thing. But I mean, Declaration is about writing music, you know.
Yeah, I love the lyrics. I love
Thank you,
yeah,
man.
that was awesome. And I listened to the songs. You got a little bit of the jam out. So we were doing sound check on the songs he's going to do. I love his lyrics. They're awesome. I love your lyrics, man. So, as far as those older songs go, are they still available on like iTunes and stuff? Can you find them anywhere?
No, I really haven't done any of that stuff yet. Back to the whole thing of how I kind of got into media in Utah was through Park City Television. I mean, since I was a little kid, I always loved rock and roll and David Bowie and Queen and all that stuff of the 70s when I was a little kid. And I didn't play music for a long time, but I was very fortunate to get this gig at Park City Television and get to interview a lot of people and do that whole thing. And I finished with that last December, so I'm not in Park City anymore. I'm actually a Salt Laker now.
Oh, so you didn't? So you're not living in Park City? That was my mistake. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I haven't, like I say, I haven't done a big like social media push to say what I'm not doing, that I'm not at Park City Television anymore, because I'm still working on figuring out, podcasting, right? You're working hard to do this great podcast.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I respect to everybody who is self-publishing. I want to do some, version of that kind of a variety show again, where we have music, but the big difference is that I want a studio audience at Park City Television. It was just a studio. There was no audience. Yeah. And I've been talking to venues, a wide variety of venues, about doing shows in different spaces rather than right off the bat trying to have my own space and do whatever Sonny and Cher.
Okay, so we didn't so we didn't really cover this before we started recording, but you actually want to do what we're doing right now.
I was going to say, I want to join you, Kip.
But I mean, in front of a studio audience.
Absolutely.
That's cool. I've never considered doing it in front of. I mean, I consider YouTube totally the studio audience these days.
You totally should, because you have great bands in here.
Oh, all the time on a weekly basis.
Podcast. And all you got to do is go get some space and then do this. And the technical side of it. I mean, obviously you're totally portable here. You're perfectly set up for being able to do that.
I've never even considered that.
Totally should, because the bands will bring the people in, right? And I mean, I can tell. I'm watching your eyes over your sound.
Yeah,
how excited
this is real,
are.
right?
Yeah,
I'm not blowing smoke right now. I'm like, this is actually
the
something
audience,
that got my gears turning.
The audience makes you. I mean, that's one thing that I really learned early on in performing, having a performing presence in my life. And I played in crappy bands when you're in ninth grade,
of course.
and did high school theater and stuff like that. And that stuff is, I mean, that's where I learned it. I mean, the first time I ever really, really got on stage in a high school musical, when I was a sophomore in high school, there was 300 people in the room, right in the theater at my high school. And I mean, I was transformed. I mean, I already had a connection to music and to performing, but then getting to actually do it. And I mean, it's now I can look back and realize that even like the little things like getting makeup done and having, somebody, one of your classmates who wasn't about performing and wasn't about being in the orchestra, but was about doing makeup, put in crazy eyes on you so that people can see your expressions from stage, and
getting an entourage of different talents to make you better.
It's musical.
Right?
It's musical. It's magical. yeah, so I mean, I guess I spent a long time trying to like be, career person and all that sort of thing, but I don't know, there's just a lot of child in me.
Yeah,
And so
that's
thrill.
good. That's good. I actually saw on Facebook someone posted a meme the other day. Actually, it was just yesterday, and I really, really liked it. It said, "The goal in life is to die young but live as long as possible." Right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
that cool? I like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same way, man. It's just like I hope that I don't find myself too jaded to keep doing stuff I love one day. And it's cool that you. So, what did you do for your career part of life, or what are you doing now?
I went to school and studied finance.
Okay.
I'm from a super small town. My dad was a veteran and ran a credit union, so he was an accountant by training, and so I kind of followed that. I'm the youngest in my family. My older siblings were in business. My sister's an attorney and stuff like that. So I mean, there was a lot of like making it to the next level from my parents who grew up on the farm and were very, very, it was a completely different existence for them as children to go from their childhood to my adulthood in one generation.
Yeah.
And so I was a pretty good student. So I studied finance. I got an MBA.
Oh, nice.
And worked in consulting and, did all that stuff that people do when they have to put a necktie on in the morning. And
did you enjoy it for the most part?
the way that I've learned to describe it is that I like the work. I like spreadsheets.
You're into that.
I'm a dork.
Nerd.
I'm a total nerd. And I like math. I mean, I never wanted to sort of be about mathematics in my life or career, but I was good enough at it. And, I guess in my childish mind was like, well, go into finance and you'll make money and your life will be easy. Something really terribly shorthanded like that. Yeah. And of course, then you just have to live that life and discover that it's not about whether or not you put a necktie on. It's about the people you're around.
Yep, exactly.
And what you're doing, spending your time. Does that feed your soul? And all that stuff that 1,000 life coaches are talking about right now that I was so far off base. I wish life coaches existed back in the day so that, my buddy Travis Brady could be like, Tara, come here, buddy.
Lay down on my couch.
We got to talk about your artistic inclinations, but yeah.
So was that a problem for you? Once you got career minded, did you put down all of your love for music? And
yeah, I kind of did. And I tried to put it in the background. And I remember my first job in Chicago, and I lived right downtown. And man, I worked hard. But what I remember about that period of time is Appetite for Destruction. Mm-hmm. Because I got clued in on Guns N' Roses. They've been around for a little while, but I wasn't paying attention at first. And then I that's what I remember from living in Chicago. Is not what I did from getting up at 6 a.m. to go to work by 7:30, to be to work and be there till 6 or 7 at night, and get home and barely walk in the door at 8 p.m. and need to be in bed by 10 to get up and do that shit again tomorrow. But between 8 and 10,
see, and all that blended
Slash
together. Exactly.
Slash was what got me through that period of my life. Was that guitar, Izzy Stradlin. I mean, many, many other records than just Guns N' Roses, but I remember standing in my bedroom in on the near north side of Chicago and putting that record on, putting that CD on, and just going right, and just welcome to the jungle,
right.
And I mean, there was a consciousness at that time of the desire that I had for that to be the center of my life instead of the postscript to my day. Mm-hmm. And so, in that sense, to be sitting here podcasting with you, you're known in the music community here. I'm super flattered and privileged to get to be here as a part of all these things that I do as a performer that have become my life. And I never thought it would be that way. And man.
It's crazy experience,
It's
isn't
the
it?
best. It's the best.
So did you drop the whole career thing? You still doing the finance thing? Or?
Well,
we won't focus on this too long.
Yeah,
but-
sure. No, it's quite all right. Since I left Park City Television, I've been working with some guys who are involved in 3D imaging.
Oh,
they
cool.
Have
Okay.
they have a company called Robo Imaging, and they have these amazing 3D cameras that take film that make digital recordings.
So is it for entertainment purposes or for business purposes?
You know what? It's for both. I mean, there's a big sort of like a marketing
Okay.
aspect to it of shooting film where you're walking through a microbrewery or somebody's great, the Cabin in Park City, great local bar, my great friends at the Cabin. So you can kind of go on their website and get an experience of what the bar is like and those kind of things.
Okay, cool.
Or lots of other applications. A lot of the applications are industrial.
Industrial stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the camera that Leica manufactures that has a great 3D capability also shoots out. I don't know. I'm not great at this. I'm terrible at the statistics. 500 laser beams.
Yeah.
A minute.
You can say whatever you want, man. I'm not.
Right.
Gonna,
Exactly.
I'm not gonna know
The fact checking department.
10,000 MB.
Yes.
That sounds
Yes.
perfect, man. I believe you.
1 million lasers
I believe you.
per second, Kim.
I believe you. I believe you, Terry. Right on, man.
But so that's something that I'm working on with businesses here in Utah. I need to kind of stay alive economically while I'm figuring out what my plan is, and I hope to podcast and to do some live shows here to continue the music. I'm interested in corporate speaking, which is something I don't really know much about, but I'm a great cheerleader.
Hey, isn't that the best though? Like, I didn't know anything about this, and when I first started playing music 20 years ago, I didn't know anything about performing, and that's
Right.
the best part of it. I think is
Well said.
going in there and experiencing it for the first time, not really jumping in head first, I guess. you know?
Yeah.
Probably not the best idea for everything in life, but when it comes to fun hobbies like this, it's worked out well.
Well, and I also think that there's different personality types.
Yeah, exactly.
And I've learned through my years that change is a really important ingredient for me in my life in ways of personal growth, and sometimes the change comes from the outside.
Oh yeah.
But also just the enjoyment of freshness. Like I say, I mean, I'm so excited to be playing music again, and I'm so privileged to have the opportunity to be in a mind space where I'm asking myself, what do you got to say, kid? What are you talking? What do you want to write about? What do you want to sing about every night? What do you have this idea for a song? Is that something you want to talk about every night? You want to stand behind that every night? You want to say that when you're opening for the American Hitman. I got to open for the American Hitman at the Royal.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's huge. I mean, those guys, Dan Cord, Tim Cord.
They'll be on the show here in the next month, I think.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
So excited to have them. Yeah, those guys are awesome.
Yeah, great people. Phil Snyder's so good, man. All those guys. Johnny Isaacson has done a great job coming in with them. I don't mean to get into specifics of any one band when there's so many bands I love in Utah.
I love giving call outs to specific people.
Yeah,
man. That's
I love
what this
those
show's
guys,
all about.
man. I love those guys, and it's been a great experience to kind of get to refocus on music and focus on music like I never have before, because the last time I was in a band in Atlanta, I was singing somebody else's words. So now I get to challenge myself and do my own thing.
So Atlanta is the next place you were at, I'm guessing, or is that? Let's move on to your little history.
Yeah.
You've got a couple songs you want to play, and we want to hear those. But let's keep going with your little history.
Micro mini history is that I grew up in Iowa. I went to Drake University. I got a degree there. I went to Vanderbilt University, fine school, both fine schools in Nashville, Tennessee, and worked really hard.
You've been everywhere, man.
Yeah. I went to grad school in Nashville, And again, I was not in any way involved in entertainment or anything like that.
Just
studying
business
hard.
focused.
Yeah, business school.
Which isn't bad.
No, it was great. I mean, I don't think I was ready for self-starting DIY.
Well, and you've got something to fall. You got something wonderful to fall back on now. If for some reason or another you decide not to do this anymore. You know? And so a lot of us don't. It's like this is our one and only option
Absolutely.
in life. So that's cool. Good for you for doing that.
Thank you.
What? Let's jump forward a little bit. What brought you to Utah? How long have you been here?
I was in Southern California for about a dozen years, and the economy changed. My life changed. I got to the point where, like, being a consulting guy. Bong. Sorry, don't hit the microphone, Terry.
I've got to get boom mic stands. That's my bad.
Yeah, I went to Southern California for a corporate job, and then I moved up to LA, and I'm around all these creative people, and that's when it really started to sink in. Like, man, you got one life, kid.
Yeah.
What you gonna do? I mean, is it enough for you to, play guitar for 20 minutes before you watch a Netflix show?
You like Dave House?
Drink scotch and go to sleep.
Do you like Dave House? Have you ever heard the artist Dave House?
I don't know him. No.
Oh, okay. It's just some of the stuff you say reminds me of his lyrics. So I'm wondering if you liked him and was like drawing off of some of the.
Thank you for sharing that. I'll go look for him. This is a great moment.
You keep saying, "What are you gonna do, kid?" And he has a song called "Come On, Kid" that basically says, "Were you thinking that too?" Yeah. Anyway, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's all good. I'm the youngest in my family, so the kid thing is always kind of an appellation that. And I have siblings that are significantly older, so I really was the kid. I was kind of like the first grandkid. So it's like there's part of me that's always going to be the kid. Props to my old friend Roberto Estrada for nicknaming me the kid.
Oh, so that's a real nickname.
Yeah,
Roberto Estrada.
Sure. Yeah, Roberto's like, man, what's up, kid?
So what brought you from California? What made you decide I'm going to go to Park? Is Park City where you moved to?
No, I moved to not too far from here in Orem, Utah.
Oh, okay.
I met a gal by the name of Candace Norton, who's a lovely human being who's from here, and she had family in San Diego, and we met and hung out. And it just so happened that I was, I was kind of at a transition place in my life. The economy was changing, and so I just kind of thought about, well, let's go somewhere else. The mountains, Utah. I knew the skiing was great here. I'd never skied or anything like that, but I love sports. I love the outdoors. So I came out and. Just kind of hung out. I had a little bit of time in my life where I could sort of reflect on what was happening, exactly. And so that's kind of why I came here. Like I say,
it's a good reflection spot. It is.
It is. I mean, I learned about the mountains.
Exactly.
I never lived in the mountains. We never like skied when I was a kid.
Yeah, it sounds like you grew up in pretty flat places. Actually,
very flat, very flat. So, so I kind of came out here to get out of California as much as anything, change of scenery, and also just a flyer. I mean, I've taken a lot of flyers in my life, and
Nice.
It's worked out incredibly. Utah has been so good to me. I mean, like I say, Park City Television was an incredible experience, and so many good people there, and that I met and got to work with, and all of that, I'm really thinking about podcasting and YouTubing as kind of the next phase for me, as far as how to connect with people, and also how to be able to stay mobile in the world and travel.
Exactly. Yeah,
Travel
that's cool.
and podcasts from wherever. Right, get the suitcase that's got everything I need in it that I can set up. As long as there's a plug on the beach, man, I got electricity, and I can.
That's awesome.
And right, I mean, we could be doing what we're doing in the sunshine right now
exactly.
with a delicious
I've never thought of that.
drink.
I've never thought outside of the realm of finding a Utah studio to do what I'm doing exactly here. The live studio audience is such a good idea. And I think you're the first person I mean, obviously other than like, Jay Leno and all them, but like you're the first person that's ever come out with that idea to me. And
kid.
I'm not gonna steal your idea, but I'm excited to see where you go with it. But if you ever want to do any collaborations,
steal this idea, bro. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
I mean, musically or podcastly, we can collaborate somehow.
I think that's one of the great things about this modern era of technology becoming inexpensive and being released to everyone is that, right? I mean, you can collaborate with everybody. I mean, I've been on, not a ton, but I've been on a number of podcasts of different people here in Utah who I know and love, and you guys were so kind to reach out. We hadn't met previously, but what you're doing is great, self-starting. And
thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm so excited to be a part of what you guys are doing, what Dylan Mazziotti and Steve Hatch are doing with Your Creativity podcast. And
right back at you. We've been extremely excited to have you on. Just so you know,
thank you.
Terry Burden's been a big deal to have on our show. For reals. I mean, I'm not blowing smoke right now. This is you've been one on our calendar. If you go back and listen to my shows when I'm reading off my calendar, I always when I get to your name, I was like, now here's one we're excited about too.
Oh man,
every time. So just so you know, we're happy to have you here, man. And thank you so much. And it makes me feel a little better that you don't live in Park City because I know it saved you a 20-minute drive there.
Absolutely. I'm in Cottonwood Heights
20
now.
minutes out of your drive anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in Cottonwood Heights now, hanging with my homie Dave Nugent. I got to give shout outs to the Nuge. He's a guy who's
any relation to Teddy?
There's always a relation when it's Nugent. Right. There's no.
I wouldn't have asked otherwise
because
I thought about it for a second. Right. Like, that's worth asking.
Wang dang sweet poontang.
I met on the last interview. Was it the last one? Within the last couple bands we had a descendant of Shakespeare. His last name was Shakespeare.
No kidding.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Let's hear some of your music, man.
Okay, man.
Let's do this, dude. So what are you gonna play for us?
I'm gonna play a song called "Crash." I think it's pretty representative of where I'm at right now in my musical journey of life. I wrote the chord progression. I just fiddled around and found something that stuck for a really long time. Way back in the day when I lived in Atlanta. I mean, this is like 15 years ago. And I would always, when I started playing a little bit, I would just always make up the words.
Just as you were going?
As I was going.
And if they fit, you'd write them down?
Yeah, most of them I didn't write down, but I did discover what the song was about, and it's called Crash. It was originally written about a kid who was a friend of a friend who was killed in a tragic accident, and that kind of got me thinking that particular chord progression was about a thing. And then I wrote over about the last 3 or 4 years. I would kind of come back to this song, and like some things I had written I would take out, and I mean, it's not a super complex song, but I sort of distilled what the chord progress. I'm a guitar player. Like that's where I came from. I started on piano, but
excuse me.
Yeah. I always try to figure out. I usually write music first and then go, what is this about? And so this song just kind of became about loss, and
so you said it was a friend of a friend that died,
that passed away, that I sort of that sort of put the theme for the song. Gotcha. And I couldn't tell you how exactly it happened that I connected that event with this particular progression of chords.
Life strings, man. You don't know why they all connect, but they do sometimes. So all right, man. So what's the song called?
This song is called Crash.
Crash. That's right. Crash. Okay.
and you'll face the day when all your friends and lovers all have gone away. But it wasn't my time for a final fade to gray. I thought that I had everything figured out, and not a bit of worry, not a shred of doubt. But it was my time to face the pain. The crash before the crash is hell to live through, and not the least of which is the view you get to. The flash before the flash is what you live for, and now I know that it is time to get there. Everything figured out, and not a bit of worry, not a shred of doubt. Then it was my time to face the pain. But now I've come out on the other side. The sun is shining and the road is oh so wide, and now it's my time to own the stage. The crash before the crash is hell to live through, and not the least of which is what you are onto. The flash before the flash is what you live to, not the least of which is the view you get to.
Yeah, that was sick, dude. That was awesome.
Thanks.
You said you started that 15 years ago?
Yeah. There was a guy that I knew in Atlanta through my brother. I have my brother Mark has lived in Atlanta for many years, and so he knows tons of people. And when I got really interested in writing music, he was like, "Hey, I know this guy who's my buddy, and his brother is a super songwriter guy." So I met up with this dude, and I not a guy I remember, sadly, off the top of my head, but he was like a super songwriter guy who was like very disciplined about, like figuring out your chord progression, and then, like, are your lyrics important enough? It's like the songwriter thing, right?
Exactly,
it's like, if your lyrics aren't possibly in the running for a Nobel Peace Prize, then just drop the Funny or Die. Stop watching that shit. Get serious about songwriting, right? And that guy had a big impact on me, just as far as I'm making light of it, but the seriousness of writing music, it's a beautiful synthesis of so many different arts. Mm-hmm. And I grew up worshiping great rock and roll, Elton John, and there's a bunch of great Kiss songs, man. Kiss has great songs.
They do have good songs. Not a huge fan of the band themselves, but they do have good songs.
I agree entirely, but guys running around with face paint, spitting fire and blood. It's
exactly.
Like, third grade, I'm so down. And right. There was a positive influence of, there were hit songs there. And I feel like it took me a long time to sort of join the club, but now I'm right on the precipice of the most important time of my artistic and songwriting career, and that's me assigning myself the job of like, hey kid, write some good fucking songs now. You got right. I mean, this right. There's 50. You had 15 years to get that song together. Nice job. How about you speed it up a little bit?
Hey man, I think especially solo artists are all guilty of that, man. It's that you gotta start pulling from the hat of 15 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
and you know, sometimes licks that you came up with 15 years ago end up suddenly meaning something.
And right here,
right?
I mean, that Declaration is a song that I like. Right, I always thought that riff that I heard 1,000 different other places was like, oh man, I can do something with that. And it just took a little. In that case, it didn't take 15 years, but it took some time before I was like, you know what? That's a song about me and who the fuck I am. I'm not like everybody else.
Yeah.
And in my case, right, I'm still trying to figure out how to do entertainment and how to do art in my 50s. And man, I got more energy than ever, and I have more desire than I ever thought that I
was just telling you before this, dude, and I'm not, this isn't flattery, dude. You do not act or look like you were in your 50s. So whatever you're doing it right, my friend.
I'm just trying to love life, you know.
And that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it's all about. I actually have another segment that I do on this show that I just started that deals with depression and anxiety and stuff like that, because it just affects so many people, myself included. And
included.
It does, yeah. Absolutely. See, and that's awesome. That, I mean, it's not awesome that you suffer with depression, but it's awesome that you have such a positive outlook on life when you have that constant torment going on.
Yeah. Well said. Perfectly said.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes there's a misnomer that, you know, when we talk about mental illness in general and just mental health and fatigue in this world, that it's like you're either happy or you're in the weeds or you're destroyed.
Exactly. Yep.
And it's like, no, man. Levels, yeah. And it's like, no, actually there are people who are happy who are also suffering.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I'm trying to. That's the point I'm trying to make. So you're actually the perfect. Among many other reasons, you're the perfect guest right now, because I do. I want to. I mean, I do have a separate segment, but I want to touch points with different artists, because I honestly think that, personally, from my own personal experience, I think that depression maybe has a touch of what most artists, where they get their muse. You know, where they get their.
There's no question.
Yeah, I think most people that have that in them. I mean, especially when it comes naturally. You know, and it's something that they've, you know, kind of like you said, you found a Guns N' Roses record and it changed your life type of a thing. You know, it seems like there's always some type of suffering in those people. So that's something I find interesting. So I'm trying to narrow down on whether or not I'm correct on that, but I think I'm going somewhere with it.
Well, I think you said it perfectly. Going somewhere is the thing to do, is to talk.
Yeah, exactly.
And to admit and to share and to invite in, because there's going to be a lot of people who are listening to this podcast who are going to be nodding along saying, oh, everybody's got their own reason, but man, life is hard.
Well, since we've sort of touched upon this really quick, well, I'll spend literally 30 seconds on this. But do you, and you know, this is a very personal subject matter, and if you don't need to delve into it, but do you believe, as a person who is obviously winning the battle of, you know, depression, and I'm assuming you have the anxiety that goes along with it?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think that it's necessary to have some type of higher power above yourself in order to be a successful man? Successfully get past, you know, be as happy as you are in life. Is that something that you found you necessarily needed in your life, or is that something you haven't really needed?
An incredibly timely question for right now in my life, because I am reconsidering that question very deeply.
So am I. That's why I'm asking.
I grew up Catholic. The church, the church is the Mormon church.
Well, here,
when you put "the" in front of it, but church,
technically, the church is the Catholic Church.
Well,
but yeah, continue. Yeah,
it's a really heavy way to grow up, and I got a lot out of it, but also, I don't know. I'm a very unsure person, and
so you're kind of where I'm at right now with that. That's actually a question you're probably asking yourself then. Like,
yeah, exactly. It is right now. In fact, the reconsideration that that happened this morning. I got on my knees this morning. I'm not exactly sure why, but divinity is a huge question for each of us, I think, to try to understand in our own way. And I've been trying to understand divinity for a really long time. And for me, I've been surrendering. For the first time in a long time, I grew up, like I said, super Catholic, and then was like, hey, I can go get an education and, do whatever I want to do and think whatever I want to think, and I don't have to submit to processes and forms and formats and all those kind of things that are part of every organization, including religious organizations. And I recognize the value in those things, but I reacted very stridently as a young person and kind of stuck with that for a long time. But I've had a number of events in my life that have forced me to reconsider the question without outcome. And like I say, I had a very big moment of faith today. And it's it's really interesting to be here in Utah, where faith and organized religion is such a big part of the culture and the landscape, because I've had many amazing, beautiful, transcendent people in my life who are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of the Latter-day Saints, and I'll name check Ed Rickards and Jonathan Johnson as two guys who, among many others, are amazing influences on me personally in my life, are great friends to me. And so I'll wrap it up by saying that I thought that, in some ways, my intellectual journey was kind of a referendum on organized religion. And I think I'm coming to realize that it's not at all, that everybody, including people that I know and love very, very much, have very different experiences and traditions in their own lives. And I'm still trying to figure it out for me. I'm trying to figure out what spirituality means, and what God means versus, universal energy.
Exactly.
See,
and there's such a big difference between having an organized religion and having a relationship with something you believe is more in control of your life than you are. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm juggling right now too with people, is I'm not sure if it's necessary in order for, I'm not saying everybody, but I'm saying people with like mental illnesses, kind of like I was saying yesterday, kind of like in AA, people who are recovering find it necessary, and it's one of the steps that they need to find themselves a higher power, to realize that they're not in control of their problem. So I'm not saying that everybody needs, or I'm not saying anything yet, but I'm not searching for the answer of whether or not everyone needs some type of higher power. Do people with these issues possibly need it more in their lives than other people? Kind of like how, recovering addicts and stuff need it more in their lives.
Yeah, that's,
so,
that's a really interesting. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Setback. That's a really interesting.
Sorry to get all heavy here.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm fine with it. Yeah, I think you're on the right track, man.
Yeah,
I think
cool.
You're asking the right questions, and I don't know nothing.
I don't either. That's why I'm asking.
I'm just trying to figure out the journey for me. And in my case, like I say, I've had many things happen in my life that have made me question divinity. Mm-hmm. And now I'm in a period of my life, even though I'm in a lot of change right now, where there are divine moments in my life, and I have a person in my life who has really made me come back around, and have faith that there's good things for me. There's good things for me, and people are the first part of that. I mean, it's so great to be here with you guys and do this thing. We're making art. We're making.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's so lucky. It's so fortunate. So.
Cool.
Yeah,
well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
dude.
sure.
I didn't mean to take a weird segue there, but
I'm all about it, man.
That's something that I'm really focused on right now is trying to. I mean, I really want to be kind of like how I want to get local music out there. I want to help people that don't know what to do, like kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah,
we don't really know what to do with it. Whatever you're doing on the outside, it's working for you great, dude.
Well,
so I mean,
thanks,
I'm sure on the inside, it's still a daily struggle, man. I know.
Yeah, right. We all go through that,
and that's kind of my point. Is
but then
we all wear masks.
Then we put our outfits on for the day and go out into the world and help each other. You're helping me right now. What you're doing, this work you're doing, the fact that we're talking about this heavy issue at the moment. I mean, it was important before we started talking about this. We're talking about rock and roll. It's like the most important thing in the world to me, rock and roll. And
me
rock
too,
and roll
yeah.
and people. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I feel like more than anything, I'm less concerned about the outcome of the journey than loving the journey itself,
loving the experience, absolutely,
and getting to have.
Just don't take it for granted,
Yeah, well said. Yeah. That is the thing. I mean, the odds to be a human being and make it to adulthood and have this gigantic, splendid brain that we all have. I don't care if you quit 9th grade or whatever. That has nothing to do with your brain. And so this life is a great gift, and I'm definitely I'm working on it. I'm struggling in my own ways.
And you've personally lost, so you've lost people. So I have too. So I think that also helps you gain a little bit of perspective on how quick it can go.
Yeah, it can change instantaneously, and I definitely. Benefit from realizing that reality because I'm so much more grateful for the people that I get to spend time with. I'm thinking about my day yesterday and the people that I got to spend time around, and I'm so fortunate. I mean, so much love in this world that I get to get a bit.
Well, dude, you deserve it, man. So let's lay off the heavy here for a second and so I want you to be able to perform the next song without me bringing down the energy in the room.
Which is another terribly light song.
Do you have any shows? Before I forget, I do want to ask. Do you have anything coming up show wise?
Thanks for asking, and I gotta stick a pin in it for a second and tell you a little bit about what's going on because. As I mentioned, my dear friend Paul Dittman, who played bass with me in the Terry Burton Project for a long time in helping me get started. Paul's doing a record with William G. Kidd from here in Utah, and he's going to be spending a bunch of time out in L.A. in the studio and that kind of thing. So Terry Burton Project, which played about a half a dozen shows or so, featuring my great friends. Edgar Campos and Nate Pugh and they're lovely ladies in their lives who are a part of the time that we've spent together. We're kind of on a break right now while I'm trying to figure out.
And you're not doing any of your solo stuff live right now? You're just...
I don't have anything booked. I had a gig that I played solo at the Ice House.
Oh, cool.
Bastion of rock and roll.
Is that the videos you have on your Facebook right now?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I haven't really been good about that side of it because I started again because I just want to play a fucking rock show.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still do. But actually, I think what's going to happen next, working with my good friend Brandon Isbell, I think we're gonna record a real studio version of Declaration.
Oh, cool.
That we heard at the beginning of the show, and then I think I'm gonna do a video and just explore that side of it. I love live performance, so that's all I've really cared about. But here we are in 2019, where we have all of these tools at our disposal, and so the next thing I'm going to do, I think, before I find a bass player to replace Paulie, brilliant player in the Terry Burden Project, is I'm gonna do some recording. I'm gonna do a video. Also, here's the latest, and that is that I am playing with my dear friends Sabra and Victor Schleiter. Midnight Babies. So Carlos MJ, who's a friend and a lovely cat, who was one of the founding members of the Midnight Babies, had to step away from the project.
Yeah, I saw their lineup changed.
Yeah, and it just was literally like, it was crazy. My friend Whitney Blaine, who's a incredibly gifted songwriter and vocalist and beautiful human being, who I love so much. Whitney said to me, "Man, I saw this girl play at Hogs, and she was playing the drums, and she was just a boss." And I was like, "Oh yeah, really? What? Who was that?" And she said, Sabra. I'm like, "What? Sabra? That's my girl, right?" I know Sabra so good, and we've shared so many great times, musical and personal, together. And so I said, "Man, I'll call up Sabra. You guys should know each other." Two brilliant female songwriter, musicians, human beings. And so it ended up that we just said, "Hey, let's all jam," because I've jammed with Sabra plenty, and actually I've jammed with her brother Victor as well. And so Whit and I went over and hung out with the Schleiter family, and they're just such beautiful people, and we immediately had a connection. So that's a thing that I'm doing now with Whitney, with Victor, with Sabra's, the Midnight Babies, and we just went out and played kind of after zero rehearsals, or jamming a couple of times. And so we're gonna do that.
So collaboration is something you're looking into right now too.
Yeah,
cool.
and I mean, like I say, Whitney and Victor and Sabra are just beautiful people.
I haven't met any of them personally, but they are good enough people that they show that on Facebook. It shines through. It really does. Sabra is such a sweet spirit, dude. She hearts everything. She always says
she's also
thank
tough
you.
as nails.
And
to
exactly,
be fair.
I've noticed that. She also seems like she stands her ground. I've talked to her a couple times, and she's wanted to come on the show, and it's always fallen through. But we will get her on here. I'm actually, she's one of the ones that we do want to get on here. We are at the end of the show, actually, man. So we do want to wrap up with your song, though.
All right, man.
Yeah, you got one more song?
Yeah, so this is a song called Stylin'. This is also a tune that goes back to the old days. In this case, I wrote a poem about the fact that one of the reasons I got fired from a job in Atlanta was because I was too much of a pimp. I dressed too funky and shit. This is like suit ties, but I was too
purple suit and orange tie.
Yeah, dog. Yeah,
you dressed like the Joker.
Totally.
Right on.
And so I wrote a poem about it at the time, and then when I was here in Utah, my buddy Matt McQuay, lovely cat, great friend, I shared the poem with him, and he was like, "That's a punk rock song," and I just, for whatever reason, I just went.
Busted out the power chord.
Get my volume up a little bit here.
I hope I'm styling when I die. That's the truth, I cannot lie. It may not matter much to you, but it does to me down through and through. Cause most folks don't really care to style, cause to get dressed it takes an extra while. I can't remember when I wasn't aware of the clothes that I wore back when I had hair. Styling is living, don't give it up. I'm a grown up, I don't give a fuck. Styling is living, don't give it up. I'm a grown up, I don't give a fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4. To dress for attention, no cost too great. I just paid with my job of late, but that's okay, no job can compare to the steez that I rock when I freak Jordan Air. So call me vapid if you will, but I'll keep styling out until styling no longer makes my day, and styling no longer is the way. Styling is living, don't give it up. I'm a grown up, I don't give a fuck. Styling is living, don't give it up. I'm a grown up, I don't give a fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Dude, thank you so much.
Cheers, you guys.
Thanks,
Bobby.
so much. Yeah, we got
Kip.
Bobby working the camera over there. This is you are the first victim, like I said, of our video
Oh man,
podcast.
I should have taken a couple of days off
We're-
the heavy eating.
Hey, man.
Wide, bro. So wide.
But man, it was a pleasure and an honor to have you here, Terry.
Thank you, Kip. Thank you very much.
Not to mention a joy. Thank you for sharing your stories and
Likewise. Thank you.
And come back, man.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Keep us posted. Any releases you have, send them our way. We'll play them and come back and join us again, will you?
I look forward to it. Thank you so much for having me.
My
All
pleasure.
the best wishes to you guys for more success, and just keep it up, man.
Thank you,
For
man.
sure.
Right
Cheers.
back at you. And guys, if you need to get a hold of me, you can at notsoforeverproductions@gmail.com. That's if you want to send me any songs, or if you want to tell me I suck at my life, or whatever you want to do. Just go ahead and send that to me at at notsoforeverproductions@gmail.com. Again, Terry Burden, thank you so much for being here. And
Kip John Evenson
Yeah.
doing the podcast thing. Bobby, thank you so much.
Yep.
Respect to you guys. Everybody out there, thank you for listening. I love rock and roll. I'm so grateful for the things that Atlanta has, or excuse me.
hey, Atlanta gave it to you too, man.
Yeah, I'm grateful to Atlanta, but I'm so grateful to the things that Utah has given to me. And I'm just ready to take it all out into the world, do some traveling, do some podcasting, some blogging, and play music all over the world.
We're excited to see it, man.
Thanks,
keep
man.
me posted on the podcast thing. I'll watch it.
Absolutely.
All right, and let's get together and collaborate with something someday, dude.
I love it. Let's do it.
All right, we're out of here. See you guys. Peace.
Kip and Company, the Kip and Company, the Kip and Company, the Kip and Company, entertainment.